Does Tyson Fury deserve the criticism? Yes, and video. He does, right? In fair, he does. Let me tell you why. Tyson Fury, so a lot of his fanboys, in the wake of his defeat to Alexander Usyk, his second consecutive defeat to Alexander Usyk, mind you, a lot of his fans now are just coming out of the woodwork and saying, oh, you guys are all haters, you're this, that, and the other, you're jealous of Tyson Fury, why can't you give the man his props, why can't you do this, why can't you do this, why can't you do this? All the while, none of them are giving Alexander Usyk any props. People, I know Simon Jordan is not really coming out and, saying that, but he's one of the guys, he's not coming out giving Alexander Usyk his credit. Frank Warren in the immediate aftermath in the ring during the post-fight interview with Ade, those scorecards are disgrace, this, that, and the other, all that, People saying, I thought Tyson Fury won the fight, Ben Davis and people like that. And then you people coming out again, as I said, saying, oh, just give the man credit, this, that, and the other. And what I've always said here on this channel, and what a lot of other people have said, Justin, a boxing hat man, etc., is that we're not critical of Tyson Fury, the fighter, because I, for the longest time, have said that I always felt Tyson Fury is one of, if not on his day, arguably the best heavyweight in the world. Alexander Usyk proved that he is. Tyson Fury, when all the stars align, like they did against Klitschko, like they did against Wilder that night in the rematch, he is phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. He really, truly is. Tyson Fury, on the other hand, outside the ring, yeah, he cuts a very different figure. And I've gone in depth about that. I'm not going to go over it again. But when you have someone like Tyson Fury and he makes the claims that he made in the past, that he's the greatest heavyweight of this generation, and then furthermore goes and starts saying, and then people in the media, again, like Simon Jordan, start chiming in and saying he's the greatest heavyweight, not just of this generation, but of all time, well then, you are opened up to scrutiny then. Because, well, for one, the notion that he has even a say of being in there with the greatest of all time is laughable, because you only have to look at his resume and, the depth of it, or lack thereof. Tyson Fury in his whole career has had, I believe, 8 world title fights. Klitschko, Wilder Trilogy, Dillian Whyte, Klitschko, Wilder Trilogy, Dillian Whyte, Derek Chisora, Alexander, 8 fights. 8 world title fights. 2 of them against the same guy, 3 of them against the same guy, and he's lost 2. So he's 6-2 in world title fights. Alright? And the best win is a Klitschko. And that was a good win to do it in Dusseldorf, Germany. Klitschko's adopted home, because he was fighting in Germany for the majority of it, pretty much the whole of his career, apart from a couple of trips to the US and 1 trip to Russia when he fought Povetkin. To go in there against Klitschko, that was impressive, yeah. To go to America, although Wilder was never a superstar in America. It's not like you were going in there to, a major cash cow, a major A-siders, backyard. Wilder in the first fight was, he was the A-side, but after that, not really. Because Wilder, they could draw together, but they couldn't draw without each other, if you know what I mean. To insinuate that those 2 wins, and again, the Wilder wins have aged like milk, they really have, to even insinuate that those wins were good enough to have him in the say with the likes of Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, etc. No. Just no. But if you want to put yourself up on that pedestal, well, then you have to expect scrutiny. You're gonna make claims like that. We're gonna look at you and say, right, well, we're gonna hold you up to that higher standard. And when you're not justifying those claims that you're the greatest of this generation and of all time, best believe you are going to get scrutinized for it. And that's where it's come from. And it's also the fact that for years now, a couple of years now, Fury has been so not just dismissive of Alexander Usyk, even in terms of fighting him, but has made personal insults at him. He's said derogatory things about his appearance, called him a rabbit. I even remember about two years ago, I think it was 3 years ago almost now, where Fury was running on a treadmill. And this was, I think, just after, either just coming up to his fight with Dillian Whyte, or either just after his fight with Dillian Whyte. It was one or the other. And obviously we knew that Alexander Usyk would be fighting Anthony Joshua, they'd be having their rematch. And him, I mean, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, saying that Alexander Usyk was not more than a steadhead, insinuating that Alexander Usyk was, using some substances to, increase his performance. And it's like, mate, Joshua, never been popped. Usyk, never been popped. I'll leave it there. I will leave it there with that one. When you go and do that, you have to expect the criticism. And as I said with Tyson Fury, you want to say you are the greatest of this era. Well, Anthony Joshua is not the greatest of this era, but he made an effort to be. He won his world title against Charles Martin. Easy touch, fair enough. A year later, he was fighting Vladimir Klitschko before he was ready. Joshua had only been pro. At that time, he hadn't even been pro, I don't think, 4 years. Tyson Fury was pro for a lot longer before he fought Vladimir Klitschko. And when Joshua fought Klitschko, that was to get the WBA title because it was vacant. They put it on the line for that fight. A year later, he unifies with Joseph Parker. He fights his mandatory in Alexander Povetkin. He tries to fight his contemporary because he couldn't get another unification. The final one with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder turned that one down. He fights then Jarrell Miller, or he tried to fight Jarrell Miller. When that fight gets scrapped, they bring in Andy Ruiz. He lost that fight, but that's a pretty good substitute at late notice. Fights Andy Ruiz again, beats him. Fights Kubrat Pulev. His mandatory wasn't a cherry pick. Wasn't like people saying, oh, he's cherry picking Pulev. No, it was his mandatory. So you had to fight him. All right. Fights him. When the Fury fight, the negotiations go belly up. All down to Team Fury, mind you. Well, Team Fury, knowing that the arbitration was there, not letting the world know, not letting Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua know the full details of it. Eddie Hearn shouldn't have been as vocal about the fight being near completed as he was, so he has to take some flack for that. But when it came to it, all right, the Fury fight's not going to happen, so what do you do? Eddie Hearn was saying at the time, if we need to get rid of one of the belts, we'll do it. No, fights is mandatory, Alexander Usyk loses twice, but you get what I mean. There was no kind of, messing around, will I do that, will I do that, will I go that way, will I go that way? I'll either fight a mandatory. If I can't get a unification, I'll fight one of the contenders. With Tyson Fury, all right, mandatory's out of the way. What do you do? Chisora Trilogy. What? Great as the what? That doesn't quite jive, does it? Okay, Chisora Trilogy's out of the way. Unification, undisputed. Nope. Okay. No unification. He's fighting his mandatory. Alexander Usyk. What's Tyson Fury going to do? Is he going to fight, a contemporary? Because, who else is he going to fight? Nope. Heaven forbid. Frank Warren absolutely scathing at the idea of Tyson Fury fighting a contender, and they fight Francis Ngannou. This is not, greatest of this generation, greatest of all time, things that you're doing. Again, if he'd cleaned out the division, if he'd have gone and become undisputed, if he'd fought all his mandatories and there was no one really left for him to fight, and he wanted to do a gimmick fight then, fair enough, I can't really begrudge him that. There was live contenders. There was Alexander Usyk. Nope, gonna fight Francis Ngannou. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he does deserve the criticism. And as well as that, his behaviour in both fights, in terms of how he reacted to both fights, was absolutely appalling. Especially the first fight with those things he said about why Alexander Usyk got the decision, absolutely disgraceful. So yeah, for the people running around saying Tyson Fury, you're giving him too much criticism. No, my man deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. And you'll see with fighters that I don't necessarily rate that highly as fighters, someone like Johnny Fisher. I've been critical of Johnny Fisher, but I don't think it's been hypercritical. In a sense of, he has said himself, he kind of knows his level. He's not running around saying, Eddie Hearn was running around saying it, but he's not, that, he's a world level prospect, stuff like that. Johnny Fisher's not saying that. So I'll say, look, the kid knows his level, he's there, that's where he probably sees himself, that's where he is. So yeah, he lost in my opinion to Dave Allen, but I can't be crazy critical because at the end of the day, that's probably the level he's at. Tyson Fury's running around saying he's the greatest of this generation, or was saying that. I don't know if he's still saying it now, maybe he still is. The greatest of this generation and of all time, and he's fighting Francis Ngannou and Derek Chisora in trilogy fights, while there's live contenders who he hasn't yet fought yet still there. And he's had 8 world title fights, 3 of them against the same guy, 2 of them against the same guy, and he's lost 2 of them. So yeah, I will be I'll be critical of that, definitely. So that's my thoughts on that. Like I said, trying to draw a line in the sand on the whole Fury Usyk situation. It's a week today. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't even feel like a Saturday, but it is since we've had that fight. Let's talk about something else in the next video. Hopefully it will be something. I'm probably going to talk about Anthony Joshua and what his next move will be. And yeah, I'm doing a bit of research on career reviews, and I might even try and do a Q&A before New Year's Eve. So we'll get some other stuff in over the next coming days. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Smash the like button if you could, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, people,